Hey everyone, I'm Milena from the Designest, and I'm here to present you our article Web Brutalism, a Style for Design Rebels by Ksenia Petchenko from the Designest. Prepare yourself for brutal design, probably the most contradictory trend, and try not to get a crush on it. I can exactly remember how I once discovered Web Brutalism, lots of thanks to Dropbox, and how I suffered after that. However, as the time passed, I discovered more and more such websites and fell desperately for the brutalist design. It's like with Kandinsky's abstract art. You call it weird first, and then you find yourself in the gallery making tweets about how exclusive it is. So now, as a true brutalist maniac, I do feel like bringing you the essentials of this rebellious trend. If it's your first experience, you'd better get some herbal tea. And if not, just prepare to get lots of visual satisfaction. Who, when, and why? After having checked dozens of various articles both from some broadsheets and amateur bloggers, I honestly haven't detected any information about the first developers to introduce this web style. So we may treat it as a spontaneous wave, something like an echo from the 90s. But initially, there was Brutalism, an architecture trend of 40s, 50s. It was treated as a social and artistic reaction against artificiality, to be the embodiment of honesty and daring. Simple right lines, concrete and bricks, and odd decor or accents focus on practical aspect rather than on attractiveness. Such buildings were called raw, and it's pretty clear now why. Then came the 90s bare-bones websites with blue hyperlinks and monochromatic monospace text, like Craigslist and the Drudge Report. However, it was not the choice of style, but imposed by constraint limitations of HTML, and I believe these were not the only brutal sites of that age. Finally, after almost 25 years silence, brutalism has lived its glorious resurrection and penetrated your screens while you had been away. Nice trends are always back, aren't they? Brutalism versus anti-design. Opposed to commonplace, yet beautifully coded mainstream websites, these are something like raw concrete. But in terms of UI, of course. The designers have made a step away from polished pages towards artistic negligence. Most community may treat as ultimately ugly. Brutal design may ignore everything web design has acquired over the years of its evolution. Symmetry, spacing, canonic color palette, navigation, strict hierarchy you expect to see. And it brings instead crowded design with monospace typography or just a single font throughout and frequently overlapped elements. However, keep in mind that it actually doesn't mean a catastrophe on the screen, not yet. Such element as a grid is often conserved, so there must be a structure, even if it's not that evident. You may say, hey, but I've seen… Oh, I know what you're gonna ask about, so let me tell a pretty unexpected thing. This isn't web brutalism, nope. It's quite simple to mix brutal design and anti-design actually, so let's dot all the I's now and forever. Brutal design is a logical opposition to classic web design, and is rather for the essence of the site than for the nutshell you put it into. It may look ugly, but it doesn't affect the contents. Or it may seem ultimately minimalistic and even charming. The landing page of Apple iMac Pro is to illustrate it. Anti-design is a rebellious opposition to simple and clean design, where the creatives impose lurid color solutions and patterns, distracting animations, and the weirdest font combinations ever. So if you started reading the article with "oh, that's bullshit" on your mind, ask yourself whether you were really thinking of brutalist design, okay? Relaxing time. I must have poured too much text on you, but it's hard to stop once you're about something you adore. Let's give the text a rest and watch some real websites, which are actually the best examples of brutal design. Let me leave out anti-design this time. Guess it's not its cocky moment yet. I've already dropped a line about Craigslist and the Drudge Report, but they are only a part of this glorious selection. The team that is number one to adopt this style was Bloomberg, as before web brutalism existed only in some art projects, streetwear brandings. Unfortunately, these guys have had their sites redesigned while I was working on this article, so today it's already quite calm and modest. But not so long ago it definitely stood out with its blue links and ultimately simple grid with no pretensions. just the essence. Another titanic project that serves an excellent example is the outline. The one will hardly ever call the site minimalist, as it's already abundant on color accents, animations, bold illustrations, yet without a single trait of anti-design. The structure is on the supreme level. Typography is reserved and engaging at the same time. And what is the most important, you don't get irritated by odd decor elements. Juicy but not weird, I'd conclude here. And finally, just for fun and practice, check the brutal selection from the awards and do your best to find some true anti-design hidden there. Frankly, not hidden at all. Try to come to an end. Well, if you write about a design style, you are meant to finish your story with some burning appeal. Like, let all your designs be brutal or something even worse. But I won't. The true message is that you never should be conservative as a designer or hostile to the trends you don't understand. Minimalism is not forever, and the more styles and ideas you accept and master today, the more powerful you will be tomorrow. You don't need to love web brutalism or anti-design, but I find it essential for any creative to check Brutalist website's platform and pack themselves with some handy theory and some eye-popping images. Further steps will be intuitive.